Hello. So today's video is going to be about prickly poppy flower essence, which is this essence. And this is sold in my friend's shop on Etsy for Acrewood Apothecary. I believe she also has an Instagram. Her name is Tasha. She's highly informative and helpful and efficient at getting you educated on what you're ordering and sending your orders out. I highly recommend looking at the flower essences that she has to offer you. Um, I started taking prickly poppy flower essence a few months ago because I was in the midst of my rebirth as Poppy and integrating the laying to rest of Tisha, and I really wanted to work with the flowers um, to help me in that whole reinvention process. And so I decided to work with prickly poppy flower essence, and I'd like to work with some other poppy flower essences. Um, However, I'm still working through this one, and I probably will reorder this one because it's been so powerful and helpful for me. I also was taking this one along with California Poppy Flower Essence. California Poppy Flower Essence is great for transition and change and healing from wounds of the mother, um, which my biological mother has been very damaging to me. So I've had to take that flower essence to help me understand and reflect and actualize and integrate and let go and shift and whatnot. And I've taken that essence more than a few times, and it's always provided me really good cries, which is great because crying is cleansing. However, this one is for assistance in the ability to forgive and the ability to love when facing various obstacles. And it seeks a deeper bridge of forgiveness to help help those who create havoc. Um, and so I started taking this a little bit before we moved out here, and I was taking it to really help my husband and I be more loving to one another and to help me be more forgiving of him, but also to help me be more forgiving to myself. I was taking this a lot for self-forgiveness, and then I really started taking it more consistently when my soul sibling and I got in a huge fight, and I was trying really, really hard to maintain a bridge of love instead of just ghosting him and going fight or flight on him because he was triggering so much trauma and activating so much trauma within me related to my own biological brothers. And so I took it for that. And so I would take that and then I'd go to the park and I'd ground and release and let go and let Mother Earth really support me and nourish me as my body processed and released what it needed to. And I find that prickly poppy flower essence has just been really helpful in helping me like truly love and accept myself in my nitty-gritty feelings. Like when I was going through a really deep fear purge when we first moved to Florida, um, I was like a hot mess, highly dysregulated. And the prickly poppy really helped create a bridge of safety and self-love and self-acceptance between myself, who had called in the abundant timeline that Florida is to me, and between the scared younger version of me that was laid to rest as we left New Mexico. And that scared younger me was the havoc, right? And so it helped create like love and security within myself, bridging a gap within myself, helping me really love myself and forgive myself for like being so like angry and volatile all the time and distrusting and resentful all the time. And as I went through that fear purge, like I would catch myself catastrophizing, and prickly poppy really just helped me anchor into the love of the universe and the knowledge that the universe is always working things out for me. Um, it was really helpful as I was going through a bunch of fear related to the obstacle of like my vehicle title taking forever to get to me in the mail. Um, that was really a stressful period for me. And eventually the vehicle title did arrive. However, I had to do a variety of self-care, self-soothing practices in the meanwhile. And that was all like, I did another video on it. But anyways, that was all like me really being initiated into the identity as Poppy the Flower Queen and the aligned actions that go with that and my belief systems. But meanwhile, the prickly poppy really helped me face that a bit less sloppily than I would have faced it had I not been taking it. And then it helped me really like surrender to love because like at first when we moved out here, Chris had to be gone for about 2 months, 2.5 months to go replenish our bank account. And they're like, man, my abandonment wounds at that time, because it was during Chiron retrograde, which my Chiron is in the placement of Cancer, which is the wound of abandonment. And that abandonment wound was just like so illogical and so intense. Like Chris and I had just joined bank accounts, all of his stuff was here, and I was terrified he wasn't going to come back to me. Makes no logical sense, right? And then because of that, like I found that I was kind of like shutting down with him on WhatsApp and our video chats. And so when I would take the prickly poppy, it was really helpful and me catching myself like, hey, you're being kind of cold and like kind of a bitch, girl. Like you need to open your heart and be more loving to him. Like he's coming back to you. Um, don't be so mean to him, and then forgive yourself for being scared and letting that little inner child that feels abandoned take over briefly. Forgive yourself for that and just be loving to yourself and be loving to your husband, and um let bygones be bygones with you and your husband, because I found myself wanting to like hold on to things from the past to justify why I was being cold and detached. And so this really just helped neutralize all of that inner reactivity that was going on within me. Um, and yeah, I'm a huge fan of prickly poppy flower essence, and I look forward to seeing what other poppy flower essences can do for me. Um, and when it says bridge of forgiveness to those who create havoc, like don't forget, sometimes we are the ones who create havoc. So forgiving ourselves, I found this was really helpful in self-forgiveness. And then also this is really helpful because my upbringing did not teach me a whole lot about forgiveness of others, let alone forgiveness of self. Like, I just had the religious programming of like, oh, you got to forgive someone if they sin or whatever. But like, it wasn't like true forgiveness. This really taught me like how to really forgive myself and accept myself. I feel like this one helped me a lot with self-acceptance. Which if you're like new to like forgiveness or self-acceptance, this might be really helpful in getting you to um open the door a little bit and receive a little bit of forgiveness and feel it and understand it a little better. This would last you if you were doing it for the full dose, which is like 3 drops 3 times a day. This is a smaller bottle, so this would last, I think, about 2 to 3 weeks. With the bigger bottles, last about a month. I did add water to mine and stretch it so that way it would last me longer. You can do that because the essence is still captured in here. Um, and you have to feel to heal. So depending on how much you need the flower essence, you might have some really intense feelings and grief spells and crying that come up about a week after you start taking. Or if you're really in need of the flower essence, you might start crying right away, like the first day you start taking it. So use it and just pay attention and be self-aware. If you find that 3 times a day is too much for you, maybe try 2 times a day. If 2 times a day is too much for you, maybe just do it at the end of your day when you get off of work, and then that way you have the evening for it to work through you. Or maybe just do it on your off days. Adjust it according to what you're noticing with your emotional states. Uh, one 1 ounce bottle, which this is half an ounce, one 1 ounce bottle is said to equate to working through about a year's worth of emotions. And the nice thing is you don't really have to know what you're working through, you just let it go. And it is good to journal and kind of see what you're working through, but it'll still work with you on like a somatic level and with the organizing intelligence of your body to release things that like you don't need to know what you're letting go of. It's just helping you let go because your free will engaged with taking the flower essence. Anywho, I hope this video was helpful for you. Please let me know what your experience with flower essences is in the comments, or if you decide to take this, I'd love to hear how it works for you. Thank you so much. Aho and be well.